Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. Today is Wednesday, it's January 8th. Today is day 460. I'm in New Jersey. I'm actually here for family reasons, for good news. Our family has a new baby, a grandchild that's been born that we're celebrating. So that's why I'm in New Jersey. Updates from the Middle East. It's January 8th, day 460, and the news coming from the Middle East is not to be celebrated. As of today, the death toll in Gaza from Israeli aggression on the Strip has risen to nearly 46,000. The death toll is now 45,936 Palestinians killed, and those wounded is at least 109,274. It's believed that there are 100 hostages still held in Gaza, dozens of whom are still believed to be alive. There's no significant news in terms of negotiations in that regard. Other updates on the Israel-Hamas war. Ireland has formally joined South Africa's genocide case against Israel, according to the International Court of Justice. They published a statement about that yesterday. The UAE, the United Arab Emirates, has discussed the possibility of contributing to post-war efforts to help rebuild Gaza, financially and otherwise, but its conditions for involvement have not yet been met. This is according to a UAE official. They were in discussion with CNN. Gaza's aid supply is facing, quote, a dangerous pattern of sabotage and deliberate disruption, says a UN humanitarian affairs chief, Tom Fletcher. He made that declaration on Monday. The U.S. has responded. President-elect Trump's Middle East envoy, this is Steve Witkoff, has expressed optimism over the ongoing Doha ceasefire and hostage negotiations. Yesterday, with Trump reiterating that all hell will break out if the hostages are not released by Inauguration Day. That's January 20th, 12 days away. Hamas officials said yesterday that they reiterated the group's demand that Israel fully end its assault on Gaza in exchange for the release of the remaining hostages. Israel, as of yet, has not been willing to acquiesce. Israel has signed domestic deals worth about $275 million to produce its own heavy bombs and defense materials and to reduce reliance on imports. The Israeli Defense Ministry announced that yesterday. That was reported in the Washington Post. Israeli forces have killed at least 3 Palestinian militants in the occupied West Bank, the Israeli military reported yesterday. And the IDF said on Monday that its investigative reports of Israeli troops using an ambulance to enter a West Bank refugee camp last month is being investigated. In Syria, it will take time, that's a quote, it will take its time to organize a national dialogue conference to ensure that all segments of Syrian society are included. The country's interim foreign minister, Assad al-Shabani, said that yesterday in terms of organizing a national dialogue conference with the goal of ensuring all segments of society's inclusion. And the EU could swiftly lift sanctions that obstruct the delivery of humanitarian aid that are hindering Syria's recovery. France's foreign minister made that announcement today. Qatar is planning to help finance a boost of the Syrian public sector's salaries, according to a U.S. official and another senior diplomat. And Jordan and Syria will form a joint security committee to combat cross-border smuggling to prevent an Islamic State resurgence. I've been talking about this in past days. You'll recall that some of the current administrative officials of the Biden administration have said that the possibility of the Islamic State rising up since the Assad regime has been ousted in Syria is one of the greatest risks. The Jordanian foreign minister has said that there will be this new joint security committee between Jordan and Syria. The Biden administration is currently negotiating the release of 3 Americans who were detained in Afghanistan in exchange for at least one high-profile Guantanamo Bay detainee with the Taliban. So those negotiations are underway. And a Florida retiree who was detained in Saudi Arabia over critical social media posts was pressured to renounce his U.S. citizenship, becoming the latest of at least 4 dual Saudi American citizens facing pressure from the capital in Saudi Arabia, a U.S.-based human rights group has announced. Finally, more than 80 NGOs have signed a letter to Congress and the incoming Trump administration opposing the imposition of U.S. sanctions on the International Criminal Court. The NGOs said in this letter that they wrote to express grave concerns and to unequivocally oppose the use of sanctions by the authority of the United States to attack the International Criminal Court, an independent judicial institution dedicated to combating impunity for the gravest crimes known to humanity. Groups that you would know and recognize who signed this letter included the ACLU, that's the American Civil Liberties Union, Human Rights Watch, the Center for Constitutional Rights. They were all signatories, in addition to a number of CMEP's member communions, including the American Friends Service Committee, Pax Christi USA, the Presbyterian Church USA, their Office of Public Witness, the United Church of Christ, and Mary Knowles' Office for Global Concerns. Even some Jewish groups like J Street signed the letter. I wanted to close with a prayer from Psalm 119. My husband and I were reading this today, and just a midday prayer. It comes from a little book of ours that we sometimes use. This is Psalm 119, verses 25 to 32. It says, I'm laid low in the dust. Preserve my life according to your word. I recounted my ways and you answered me. Teach me your decrees. Let me understand the teaching of your precepts, and I will meditate on your wonders. This is the part that I thought was so relevant to our work in the Middle East. It says, my soul is weary with sorrow. Strengthen me according to your word. Keep me from your deceitful ways. Be gracious to me through your law. I have chosen the way of truth. I have set my heart on your laws. I hold fast to your statutes. O Lord, do not let me be put to shame. I run in the path of your commands, for you have set my heart free. May it be so, for our soul is weary with sorrow. Might God set our paths straight and set our hearts free. In the name of Christ, amen.